Welcome to the Perfect 100, the podcast for BNI members who want to maximize their membership, deepen their impact, and grow their business through intentional networking. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, a CliftonStrengths coach, longtime BNI leader, and one of the few members worldwide to maintain a perfect Power of One score. Each week, we'll explore the habits, mindsets, and everyday strategies of BNI members who are turning their membership into momentum. Hello and welcome back to the Perfect 100. I'm excited to bring you my guest today, Michelle Honnen. She is in the Bartlett chapter, which I am a chapter success coach for, but she's going to tell you all about herself. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you guys doing today? I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So we're going to jump right in. Tell me, how long have you been a BNI member? I already mentioned your chapter is the Bartlett chapter in Tennessee. And what seat do you currently hold in the chapter?
So I've been a member for a little over 2 years. I hold the printing seat in the Bartlett chapter, and I absolutely enjoy every Wednesday that we get together.
I am not even a little bit surprised because I've seen your CliftonStrengths. And we'll talk about that later more. But first, we're going to start with your 45 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and put the timer up. And when you are ready to start, I'm going to go, we'll start it and you go for it.
Okay, so my name is Michelle Honnen, and I'm with Covenant Graphics. So we print large format, which is like banners and backdrops, things like that. We also specialize in small format, which is like postcards and business cards. But we also do apparel. We have tons of different custom apparel that we offer, multiple different decoration options. So we're really set up for the small business. We also have, large business customers, but we don't have minimum orders on a lot of things, which makes us different than a lot of your other printing and apparel places. So at Covenant Graphics, if you can think it, we can ink it, and now laser it too.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So this is called the Perfect 100 because it starts with, for BNI members, the power of one. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the power of one. So you are in the green. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
for those that are
you.
listening and not watching, some people are watching on YouTube, others are not. So I'm going to go ahead and read it from left to right. So you have a total score of 70. Your attendance points are 20. Your referrals per week are 10, which is in the red. Your visitors per week are 0.04, which is 0 in the gray because it's a 6-month roll up. So it doesn't mean you don't have any. It just means it's not registering enough for the points, to reach a color. And then one-to-ones 20 and CEUs 20. All right. So when you look at that, what is the easiest thing for you? What do you enjoy most that gets registered on the Power of One?
I definitely always enjoy being there and being present at my meetings. I am the visitor host coordinator, so I'm always getting there early, welcoming everybody. I absolutely love that part. And obviously visitors is a struggle for me. As far as I am continually inviting people because we have a lot of different customers that are coming into our office. And I'm like, hey, if you want to grow, here's an opportunity. You can come to this meeting at such and such time. I even tell them that they can go on the BNI website and find a different time if our time doesn't work for them. That I want to help them and their business grow. And it's just that return on people actually showing up.
Right.
But, I think you have to be a certain level of hungry to be excited and show up for BNI. You got to be really ready to work your business. And people that are just doing it as either they're starting it as a side hustle or something like that, they're not BNI ready yet. But hopefully they'll get there, and pretty soon my visitor is just going to explode. They're all going to get it together and they're just going to all show up.
Yes. Well, Leslie, will you roll over to the Palms report? So let's go through that. So The Palms report is a breakout of 6 months. I've added a couple of weeks just to get us through the middle of where we are today, which is June. So all of your attendance looks great. You have referrals given inside to referrals given outside. Let's see if I can see that without my glasses. Gonna have to start wearing the glasses, I think. 18. Your referrals given, let's see, let me just make it bigger so I can see it myself. There we go. Your referrals received inside is 33. Referrals received outside is 19. Visitors one-to-one's 41. And this is a 24-week report I've pulled up 24 weeks. So you've doubled pretty much your one-to-ones, which again, I'm not surprised. And then your thank you for close business given is $6,449. So lots of good stuff to talk about in there. Referrals given, so a total inside and outside of 20. But a lot of them are outside the chapter. So is that, and I know the way the buttons are in the app, sometimes people don't realize that it's inside or outside and just don't switch it. Is that the case, or do you have an outside referral partner?
So, because I've visited some different BNI chapters, and some of those chapters, they don't have a printer, or they may have a printer that does large format and don't have one that does small format, or they may have somebody that
Yes.
prints small and large, but they don't do apparel. So, I've got a few different referral partners that are in other BNI chapters as well. And,
Perfect.
it's been able to work really well. And that's why I love how BNI is set up, is because, like, just, yes, you have your core group, but you can still be an excellent referral partner to somebody else in a different chapter if you make the effort to go meet them.
Yes, that's amazing. People don't, I hear this all the time which is why I asked, as I was curious if you were actually, sometimes it's just a button issue, but a lot of the times it's you actually have taken the step to go and visit other chapters. And when you have a unique business that isn't in every chapter, that is an excellent way to grow your business. In our market here locally, we have 500 plus members. So if you're visiting the variety of different chapters, there's, 499-ish other opportunities. Now, obviously, we have a few printers in some of the places, but even to get a seat at the table is the as a portrait photographer, my first go around in BNI, there were other portrait photographers, and I would just wanted an opportunity, right? I just wanted to be able to see, just to have somebody present me as an option. If you give me, if, and I look at it this way, when I'm giving my clients opportunities, if they know I'm a resource, I'm a connector. So if they say to me, Tammy, who do you know that does this? I will give them maybe one or two or three, depending on what the profession is. It's not up to me for them, they should decide who fits best for them, not me, right? These are
Right.
two people I know, like, and trust, and you decide who fits best for you is a great way to go. So I love that you found that. And it looks like that's a reciprocating, opportunity, because you're receiving back also, you're getting referrals from outside the chapter. So it sounds like that's also been a great channel for you. Would you say that's true?
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Okay, great. So the visitor challenge that you have, and it's not a challenge really. If you're visiting, or you're asking people, which is great. I was just going to say a lot of people have that, right? Is a lot of people are having a struggle to find. They do invite people, but they don't show up. They have to, right? You have to hit them at the right time, right? So
Yes.
when you were saying that, my thought was, how did you get to BNI?
Okay, so how I got to BNI. So once we opened our business, I was literally just Googling different network opportunities, because I wanted to be able to, get our information out there, let people know that, hey, we exist. So I literally just search engine and found it. And then I showed up at the Lakeland meeting, and I was just absolutely blown away and by the Givers Gain principle, an idea. And if I took hundreds of thousands of notes at every meeting because I was trying to absorb everything I could because I could tell how wonderful it was. And I was just so excited that this was a possibility for our business. And it really has made a huge difference in our business being able to be connected in BNI.
So you were proactive. You were looking for how can I get the word out? So, and that's the difference, right? Is so the interesting thing about that is you're doing printing a lot for businesses, right? I'm sure you have others that are not businesses, but I'm guessing a big part of your business is for other businesses. So they're
Yes.
coming to you for a need, and they're not in the mode of necessarily growing their business or thinking about that when they're coming to you. So the success I've found, I am a constant flow of visitors for my chapter. And I think you've hit on something interesting there because you're catching people in a moment where they're not thinking about it. Where I have the most success in finding visitors is going to other events where people are looking to do networking, right? Is if they've already showed up at a chamber of commerce or they've already showed up
Yes.
at some other business related type of I'm trying to grow my business, meet new people kind of event, they're far more likely to want to come to a BNI meeting.
Right.
And
Right.
and when you give them a professional option that sounds, to them, when you say, I'd love to introduce you to my network of business professionals, they're like, sure. So,
Yeah. Sign me up. Where do I go?
yeah,
That's a great
right.
idea.
So for you, it's probably more challenging because they're not in that mode necessarily. So you have to figure out maybe there's a different question that you could ask that, because they're coming in. And I know you're in a high speed kind of lot of turnover kind of opportunities when people are coming, because I've been to your place. We've done business. And when I've come to your location, there have been people there. So it's not necessarily an opportunity to dive deep with people, but perhaps can you use we'll ask you later what your strengths are, but are there any strengths that you have that you think you might be able to apply to that?
Yeah, I think my let's see, which one is it called? The woo. I love that
Yes,
one.
woo.
The winning people
Well,
over.
yes,
And positivity will definitely be able to make a difference with that because honestly, there's no way for me not to be positive about BNI
yes, yes.
because of, how much fun it is and the business networking part. Like, yes, it's great to, be able to bring more profit to your business, but being able to meet people and hear their stories and have a desire to watch them succeed is definitely one of the best parts. And having that, backup is really great.
Right. Yeah. So we'll dive more into the strengths here in a minute. And I'm actually going to come back and ask you that question after we go into that, because I have a few more ways we might be able to move that needle. And because I think that this is a common
Okay.
problem is a lot of people have, they want to grow, they want to help people, they want to bring more people to their chapter, but they're asking, they're just not getting people to show up, and that's a very common thing. So we'll come back to that. So what's the biggest win that you've had through BNI since you've been a member for 2 years?
Ooh, the biggest win. I think that's honestly really hard to quantify. There's not been like some huge landslide moment or anything like that, but it's been the continued positivity, the continued encouragement, the building those relationships for people that are going to cheer you on. If your business is struggling, they're going to be even more, on point to getting your information out there. And so I would say that that is the biggest win because it's not one big, huge thing. It's
Right.
a continued string of positivity for your business.
Awesome. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a great big win, right? Is the big win is you show up every week and you have a family of BNI people that support you,
Yeah.
and that's amazing. And I know that's important to you because now we're going to pivot to that Clifton strengths. I would love to
Okay.
help people understand. How do people help people understand how to maximize what their strengths are in using them not only for BNI but also for just business in general or life in general? This episode is brought to you by Tammy Zurak Coaching. Ready to build your strengths, your business, and your brand? Visit TammyZurak.com and click the button to book your free strategy chat. Let's turn your passion into a thriving success. TammyZurak.com. So I'm going to go ahead and name them off for the people that are listening. So Michelle's number one strength is developer. You recognize and cultivate the potential in others. You spot the signs of each small improvement and derive satisfaction from evidence of progress. Number two is positivity. You have contagious enthusiasm. You are upbeat and can get others excited about what they are going to do. Number three is communication. You generally find it easy to put your thoughts into words. You are a good conversationalist and presenter. Number four, belief. You have certain core values that are unchanging. Out of these values emerges a defined purpose for your life. And number five, which we alluded to, was woo, which is winning others over. You love the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over. You derive satisfaction from breaking the ice and making a connection with someone. So when you took the assessment and got the results back, what was most surprising to you?
Honestly don't think any of it was surprising, but when I read through it, I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's me. Okay. And I really love, the part that says the developer, in the first paragraph of where it's describing that, it says that they naturally recognize others' capacity to change for the better. And they're drawn to people for this reason. I absolutely love helping people figure out, what their, best qualities are, being able to see the positivity in them because the world is such a negative, hard place. If you can have somebody that will speak life to you, it can make all the difference in, somebody's future. So I always want to be that person that highlights the positive for somebody and helps them refocus on the good things that they're doing and that they can do.
Yeah, that's again, every time I get one of these assessments back when I know someone, I've met them before and had interactions with them, I'm never surprised. I'm very rarely caught off guard by, wow, I didn't know they had that, because it becomes very evident. The interesting thing about humans is we all have our own set of things, right? And they kind
Exactly.
of it's very challenging to stop those things from coming out because they are who we are. I teach branding, and when you look at your brand in general, the very first thing that makes your brand is you. And the things that you bring to the party, because whatever it is you do, there are other people that do it. And the
Right.
difference between that one and the next one and the next one and you are what you bring to the business, what you bring from the personality, what you bring, all the things come from who you are, and your strengths are why you're successful. Or if you're not using them fully, you might be holding yourself back. So there's opportunities for growth, which is why I love coaching around this stuff, because people often intuitively know. You knew you were a positive person before you got this assessment back, right? Yes.
Mhm.
And if you didn't know, everybody else knew, because I'm sure, if I were to pull aside 5 or 10 or 20 different people that were in your chapter and say, what's the number one thing that you get from Michelle? Positivity would be it. So, that's an interesting, I just kind of oozes out, which is great. The developer piece for me, have you thought about how you apply that in your chapter? I know you're the visitor host and you bring amazing, vitality first thing in the morning to that position. Have you thought about how you might bring developer to your chapter?
Hmm. Well, so basically just continuing to affirm people in what they're doing, and because a lot of us need to understand that, hey, you're doing a good job. And usually whenever I have the just feel the need to say that to somebody, they're always like, wow, I really needed that today, you know?
Yeah.
And as I know so much is, starting a business and being in the very beginning of it and just having all your wheels spinning all these different directions, trying to figure out what you're supposed to answer, just to have somebody take a second and tell you, hey, you're doing a good job. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
take a
So
breath, you're doing a good job. So I think I can be even more encouraging to people. So that is now my new goal, to continue to encourage people more.
So we have a position in BNI that's very encouraging, and it helps win them over to how to do things well, and serves it's served well by someone who's positive and a developer. Can you think what that would be? Starts with an M. Because one of the things when you look at developer, one of those things is in several of the things that you have together, mentoring is something that
Yes,
often comes
yes.
up, right? Have you thought about that role in your chapter?
No, I haven't. But I mean, you're right. That would play to my strengths.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think that you would find potentially good satisfaction out of helping people from that beginning, right? You just said all
Yes.
those things is, making them feel good when they needed it, encouraging them. Developer likes to um, take little things and move them forward, right? And when you're in BNI, when you very first start out, it's very overwhelming. So, or in your business, and I'm imagining
Yeah.
you have several employees, don't you?
Yes, we currently have 2 employees. So,
So I
other than me
imagine
and
that.
my husband.
Okay. Well, and I feel like a developer might be something we do to our spouses as well, right?
Yes, that would be good.
But
That would be
that
good.
I'm imagining that plays out in your business some also. Would you say that
Yes.
these kind of do you feel like you're doing that in your business as well?
Yes, definitely. We have a couple of great ladies that work for us, and we are constantly letting them know that they're appreciated, and that we're really glad that they're there. And whenever they do something great, we're quick to tell them, because I know how important that is as an employee to hear that.
So, and this may be similar to the question that I just asked, but how have your strengths help you lead? How have you in BNI, whether it's in BNI, your business, what of those things do you feel like has really contributed to your leadership in whatever it is you do?
Right. Well, I guess they all kind of play into it. I'm also the women's ministry director at our church. And being able to, like, I absolutely love going up to women that I haven't seen before and letting them know, hey, you're welcome. Hey, we're doing this. Please come and join us and, hang out. You're invited. Because so many times, people think if they're not plugged in, whether it's with business or with BNI or with church, they don't think they're wanted if they're not invited. So I always want people to know that, hey, you're special, you're important, we want you here with us.
Yeah, that's and that's an interesting thing too, because you talked about visitors for BNI, right? Is that's the same thing as we're very interested in helping, and that's the one thing I love, not the one thing, there's a lot of things I love, but I enjoy helping people grow, right? And you love winning people over. So the woo is but you also rolled in belief in there, I think, is you probably have some core values that contribute to what you just said in the ministry, but and communication. You're a dynamo of things that are just knowing you're a whirlwind of let's do all the things, let's get together.
Yes,
uh, you know
we're
what
gonna
are
jump head first and let God work out the rest.
Yes, yes. So when you think about, because belief is a set of core values, that's how you live your life. How does that play out for you? What are the things that roll into, because you own a business, you're trying to support many different things. So how does belief play itself out for you?
Well, so my husband and I, we chose the name Covenant Graphics because we want everything we do, whether in business or personal life, to honor God first. And so belief is a huge part. It is everything as far as, who we are and what we do, because everything is built on top of that foundation for us. So, I mean, a lot of times it does make questions easier to answer, and it definitely gives you the strength to have the wherewithal that we're not in it alone, that we can rely on God. And God has continued to bless us with so many different things and people in our life that have been great encouragers, like you, Tammy. I mean, I never thought that I would be cool enough for you to want to talk to me. So, I mean, this is pretty
Aw.
great.
Stop it. You're amazing. What are you talking about? Well, it's interesting. When I got your results back, so you're guest number 7 on the podcast, and it's so interesting to me to see who has stepped forward so for those that don't know me locally here, I've been talking about the podcast and encouraging people to come and tell their stories and, have the assessment and find out how wonderful they are. But what's interesting is, of the 7 people that have been on so far, 4 of the 7 have developer, 3 of them have
Uh,
positivity, 4 of them have communication, 3 of them have belief, and 5 of them have woo. So you all are, and I was starting to wonder to myself, I
yeah,
wonder if this is, I said something to my husband about, I'm like, this is so interesting that they all share, we've only had, mine are different. Laura's, if you heard Laura's episode, are a little bit different, and she and I share similar ones. But it started to wonder if the people willing to step forward to do something new have these traits, right? Is they believe in the things, and they're all the positivity is definitely they want to get involved. And communication obviously is something that is of essence to doing something like this. So I just thought it was really cool to see a profile starting to emerge.
Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems.
But I feel like everyone, when I look at, so I have my chapter, and there's probably, I think now 11 or 12 of us that I have a profile for. And those of you not on YouTube, I'm holding up a piece of paper that is a team grid, and it has you're not going to be able to see what all the different strengths are, but there are different colors and there are blocks that are marked under each of the strengths. So what is great about this, and this is what I do with clients, is show them how their team is made up. And if everyone were exactly the same, we might have a problem
exactly.
in a BNI chapter, right? Or in your work, or whatever organization you're a part of, church, sports. None of us, if everyone had exactly the same top 5 things, nothing would get done. Because if you look at yours, so your top 2 are blue, which is relationship building. And then
Right.
communication is orange, and woo is orange. That is influencing. And then belief is executing. So themes that make things happen. You don't, in your top 5, have strategic, but that doesn't mean you don't have strategic. It just means it's not in your top 5. And there are a full 34. So if you look at, this is again, for those that are not on YouTube, I'm holding up my assessment, and you're not even going to be able to see that with me just holding it up. But there are a variety, you're going to play out in different colors, which are the themes across the board. I have, a variety in my top 5. And then when you get the full report, if you choose to do the full report, you get a bigger picture, so to speak. So these are just the main ones you like to operate in on a regular basis that you don't even think
Mhm.
about. Would you say that's true? You
Yes,
just are those things. Yeah. Um,
yes.
so it's fun to understand that you need other people. So do you have people in your business that that you feel, I know you haven't had everybody had taken the Clifton Strengths, but do you feel like you have people who complement you in your business or in your chapter?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, my husband would definitely fit that strategic thinking box. I make him a little bit more fun, and he keeps me, a little more centered.
Grounded.
Yeah. So yeah, but I am missing that part. I am very on the creative, exciting part of the brain, and the part that has to deal with all the numbers and making everything make sense. Mm-mm.
Right.
So, I am really glad that we have each other to work together. Because if it was up to him, he wouldn't go out and talk to anybody.
Right. Say yes.
They would have to
That with
find
my
him.
husband as well.
You know, um, it's good that, we're partners in the business, because together with our differences, we can make it work, you know?
Yes. Yeah, it's great, and I've talked about this on a previous podcast, but my husband's the same. Is we have some of the strengths we have are similar, and I hired a coach to work with us, a Clifton Strengths coach, because he, at the time that we did it, the assessment, he was in transition in his life, what he was doing with his job, and so he did the assessment, I did the assessment, and she offered to do a session with us together, which was really eye opening, because things that might make you crazy about how other people do things are because it's their strengths. But when you understand what those strengths are and why, more importantly, they do them, then you have an understanding and you have more patience around why, I probably make him
Uh,
crazy because, he comes to me with challenges about whatever the thing. And I have high ideation. I have, my number one is strategy. So I'm already thinking through, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And he's like, whoa. He's a thinking theme, he has
yeah,
high intellection and analytical. He wants to go lock himself in a room, do some research, think about it, and come back to me.
yes, my
So
husband the same way. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So, but it makes for good business, right? Is when they're your
Yes,
business partner, that sort of the balance and of having somebody,
exactly.
the other side of things that make you better, right? If you're trying to run your business
Exactly.
and you only have your set of things, and you don't have, I'm a solopreneur, I'm the only one in my business. So the beauty about BNI is that if you are a solopreneur, you're the only one doing all of the things, then you can find others that can balance
Yes.
you. Right. They can become your partners. And that's where I love, even just looking at the chapter, the reason I wanted to put the grid together is I have to toot our own horn. We're in the number one chapter in the region. Um,
Oh,
yeah. And why that is because we look at stuff like this, right? As I happen to be in the chapter and I have the ability to look at these things. But even without this, I know we have a good balance of people and we look for people who are going to contribute. So, how you grow
yeah.
your business, how you grow your chapter, how you grow your church, how you grow your community, how you grow whatever it is you're interested in is by having a strong group of people that can work together, and knowing what they are is one thing, but how they apply it is another. So I just think it's so, I just love all this because that's obviously why I'm a coach in it.
Right?
All right. So, what would you tell a fellow business owner, now that we've just talked about all these strengths, that has never explored their strengths? Why does it matter? Why do you think it matters now that you've seen it? Is there anything that you got out of it that you think would be applicable to a business owner that would help them?
Um, well, I think it's really important that you know who you are. Because when you're selling anything, whenever you're running a business, you're not selling what you're selling. People are buying into the opportunity for your success, because people, they're not buying your vacuum or your lipstick or my prints. They're buying into, because they can get those things wherever, right? But they're buying into the idea of, hey, I want to invest in your company, so I want to do business with you. And really doing this Clifton Strengths test, it helps you really identify, and it gives you some confirmation on, hey, this is who you are. This is how you can play into those strengths and help your business grow.
Awesome. Love that. So, what is something so you've been in business, how long have you been in business? You've been in BNI for 2 years. How long have you been in
Um,
business?
we've been open since 2017.
Okay. So what is a good what's the best advice you would give somebody trying to grow their business?
Definitely don't be afraid to get out there and network. That's really where it's at. Start out at chamber events and continue to show up to different, like we have ribbon cuttings. You can join multiple different chambers. And if you choose to become, if you want to apply for BNI, that's kind of like the next level, I think, because it's really more in that building relationships phase of networking, people that you can count on and that you really, really know, because there's more time invested in BNI. But I would definitely just tell them, don't be afraid to get out there
Yeah,
and
and that's
network.
Yeah, and that's hard for some people, right? Is, you said your husband
Yeah.
and I said mine. Without us, they're probably not going out to do that, right? And I am a mentor in a big photography group, and there was a question in it's a private Facebook group, and there's people all around the world in it. And somebody wrote a post yesterday that said, "How do I, how do I grow my business without going out to networking events?" And I was thinking to myself, you don't.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
I don't know. Good luck with that.
yeah, right. I'm like, you can, people do it, and you can spend lots of money on advertising. You can
Yeah.
be on, you can build it on social, you can build traffic, you can build opportunities. But for me, the other caveat was quickly. And
Ooh,
quickly to
no.
me isn't the online strategy. I mean, it can be, it depends on what you sell, or, what your business is. But for me, the fastest way and which is for probably most of the people listening here are BNI people, but we have people they're going to be not BNI members. But for me, the fastest way is connecting with people, right? Is because once people meet you and they understand even what I do is somewhat nebulous. People don't understand when I say I'm a business coach, that can mean anything, right? Is my husband said to me, you're a performance optimizer. You help people take what they have and make it better. And that's transformation is also a key word for me, right? Is helping people take that next level, whether they're good and they just want to make it better, or they have that side hustle you mentioned earlier and they want to make that their full-time hustle. That's a different thing. So if you're not talking to somebody to their face, they're not getting that. It's much more
Exactly.
challenging. It takes much more time. There's a lot of noise on the internet, so hard to do that. So I'm 100% with you. All right. So how about what makes you different from other competitors? What would you say has been, in the time you've been in business, the biggest differentiator of what you do to people in your same space?
Okay. I would definitely say the fact that we don't have minimum orders on a lot of things, because my husband was in the print industry. He's now been in the print industry for 30 something years, and he's seen a lot of small businesses just either not be able to meet the minimum requirements, or they do meet the minimum order requirements of other, larger companies, and then they end up going under because they've got way too much expenses. And how we're geared is we want to help the small business grow. We want to be there for them and to be able to encourage them. So yeah, it means a lot of our tickets aren't as big as some of the big companies, but the reward we get from seeing the small businesses grow is fantastic. To get somebody who comes in with an idea and then I can design their logo that they've had just kind of floating around in their head for a while and they can see it and it's then a reality, that is the best joy. So I think that's really what makes us different.
Yeah, I love that too. And there's a space for everybody, right? Is when you're deciding where you're going to be in your business, is who do I want to serve? Who are those? And that's an important differentiation, because I actually serve two different kinds of clients. Potential clients is I serve the small business person, or somebody trying to be a small business person, try to help them get to what does that look like? How do I've worked with tons of small business people or they're just starting out. They want to get out of that corporate, grind, and which is what I did. I was corporate for 26 years and then started my own business. So I've walked that path. Or they're corporate people, or just bigger, mid-size or bigger people who want to make things better for their people. They want to encourage growth
Right.
and have a happy workforce and all of those. So those are really two different types of clients. You have to decide, and then you have to be very laser focused, right? And so you've decided, I'm sure you do take and want to take bigger, opportunities, but there's a niche there that you've zoned in on, that if you can serve the niche no one else is serving, you've now made a big difference, right? Because even I know we've used you, my husband's business has utilized your services for things that other people won't. It's either too expensive because they won't take that, opportunity to work on the onesie twosies, or
Yeah.
they won't even entertain it at all because it's not a bulk order. So it's great that you were able to figure out, and it's not just because you were focused on that as a business. It's just who you are. You want to help people in that regard, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. All right. So what's up next for you? How do you want to grow next? What's working on, what are you working on personally, professionally? How you're trying to show up in the world?
Okay, so our next phase of growth has already started. We have this big honking laser machine, which you see behind me. Well, of course, this is just the drawers full of random stuff. But we are learning how to. We can now laser on acrylic, glass, tumblers, wood, all different thicknesses of paper. So that's going to be a new additive thing that we can do. Also, we're going to start selling DTF. Which is direct to film transfer. It is a print that is for apparel, but we are going to have the best machine in the industry. It is going to be the best of the best. So in about
Okay.
a month and a half, it'll be in my shop. And so we'll be able to be a resource for other shops that have been, ordering this product online and having to wait 2 or 3 weeks for it to show up. And, we'll be able to get things turned around for them the same day. It'll be able to handle a large volume with not a lot of maintenance, which is really exciting for me because, analytical thinking is not my jam. I just want to make it pretty and keep going.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
right. So that's our next phase of how we've chose to invest in our business to continue to support our current customers and to be able to add more customers. Um, Also, we have set up a new software, and I will let everybody know in BNI when it's going to launch. But we're going to be able to set up personal web stores for your company, for your, like if you're doing a fundraiser event, or let's say you work at a painting company and these are your uniforms. So instead of your HR person having to chase that person down, what size do you want? What color do you want? Blah, blah, blah. They can just go to their web store and click, 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 done. Um,
Awesome.
so those are the next big things that are currently in the works.
Okay, very cool. Now, we have people listening to this that are not all right here in our area. Do you ship also?
Absolutely. We ship all over. I mean, if you want to pay for customs, we'll ship out of the country. Hey, no
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, well, there's 300,000 people in BNI worldwide, so you never know. There
Right?
might be some new
Exactly. You never
opportunities.
know.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being a guest here. I wanted to say, if you are a BNI member, how you will help other BNI members potentially is to listen to this podcast is by subscribing on the button below. They want me to say, what is it? Smash the button. Yeah. Michelle's pointing below. So do subscribe, and please comment if you heard something interesting that you resonated with, because both of those things help from a visibility to people on YouTube when they're looking for something to listen to. And this was all about BNI and all about Clifton Strengths. So hopefully people will get some good value out of listening to it. So thank you again, Michelle. We're going to leave it there for the day. And thank you everyone for listening to The Perfect 100. Thanks for listening to The Perfect 100. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired you to show up differently in your chapter, share it with your team and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're curious about your own Clifton strengths and how to bring out the best in yourself or your chapter or your business, head to TammyZurak.com to learn more about building your superpowers into everything you do. Keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep building your perfect 100.